Uh, well, hey, welcome to the Leadership Lounge this morning. It's so good to have you. I went ahead and muted you if that's all right. I want to talk today about focus and productivity. We're going to be talking about productivity in the coming weeks more and just kind of techniques that I am using, that I've used, that I will pursue to see what kind of impact and effect it gives me. But today I really want to lock in on focus. I think that's a common challenge amongst leaders. The ability to focus, the ability to, or at least the knowing what to focus on. If you're anything like me, I try to approach it kind of like a shotgun effect, and I just just kind of shoot towards many different things. And I see you popping there on the chat. That is so common. I actually texted last week or the week before a handful of executives that I have a relationship with, all the way from low tier to high tier to lower income to great income to health industry to business startups to established companies. I mean, just a whole variety of different executives that I'm connected with. And it's crazy. They all said, which I'm not surprised, they all said that focus was their greatest challenge. Again, knowing what to focus on, how long do I focus on that one thing, and having the ability, the time, the space, the atmosphere, the environment to be able to focus. I mean, focus is such a challenge. There's actually a book that one of them referred to me, and it's called The One Thing. The One Thing. And I think it's one of the best sellers or something. And it's going to be one of my next books after I get through the 6 that I have open right now, but it's called The One Thing. Also another book that I just got for one of my clients. It's called Start With Why. And it's a great book as well. But again, there's a common challenge across the board that we have, and that is the ability and space and the to focus and knowing what to focus on. And then, of course, how long to focus on the one thing. I think that's a big one that we often don't talk about. But Audrey, for you specifically, I've just been thinking a lot about your current context and just the season that you're in with business. And I had a few thoughts, and I'm sure you've already thought about these, but I like to put them in points or bullet points real quick on just, right now, obviously you have a lot kind of in your juggling sphere, which is awesome. And I know that you love everything that you do. I was just thinking about this. I just want to put them in points. Maybe you can just kind of do a spin-off workshop specifically. I'm sure you already have, but this might help. When it comes to you struggling to, or your challenge to find time, for your business, I think we might have already talked about these. And again, I believe you probably already thought through it. I thought about 4 different things. One, automate what you can. So automate what you can. I don't know if all these actually can apply to specifically what you do. We can talk about it later, but automate what you can. If there's a software or if there's a different type of program, or maybe it's, like you've been doing scheduling posts. So automate what you can. 2, delegate what you can, pass off what you can. And I don't believe there's really much you could pass off specifically in your business. And this maybe is just a general teaching for anybody who watches this. If your season overarching statement is, I don't have time, automate what you can, delegate what you can. And then delay. This is the big one that we don't want to accept as leaders because we want to do everything. Delay what you can for maybe another season. Go ahead and release that self-expectation to do certain things, to hit certain milestones along the way. I know that's so hard for me, but delegate what you can, maybe for another season. I see your chat right here. I can delegate more house responsibilities to my older kids, free up my time. That's brilliant. So yes, so that is a great point for everybody watching this. Maybe there are some personal items. Oh, that's so good, Audrey. I should have had you teach this morning. There are some personal items that you could potentially delegate. or maybe for some of you, like Audrey, who is also married, maybe something that you could ask maybe some spouse assistance with if that fits your context. So automate what you can, delegate what you can, delay what you can for another season, and then just do what you can with what you have. Okay, this kind of leads us back into our teaching today. Do what you can with what you have. In other words, it might be, oh my goodness, it might be that we're doing too much. Maybe we need to do what we can. Maybe we need to do one thing with what we have because we need to do that one thing well. Maybe it's time to minimize our duties to maximize our impact. That's a good word right there. Maybe it's time to minimize to maximize. Do less to do more. Do what you can with what you have. Do one thing well. Are you doing 15 things decently? Could you do one thing well instead? Because that's going to bring some real actual impact, like to the depth. So that's you said no to, I assume it's to teaching today. We'll get to teaching sometime because I know you can bring it. But okay, so automate if you say, I don't have time, automate what you can, delegate what you can, delay what you can for another season, and then do what you can with what you have. Maybe it's about doing one thing really well. Maybe it's time to just ask your duties for the day. Am I even doing anything really well? Am I maxing out anything that I'm doing? Or am I just doing a lot and doing it halfway to its potential or to my potential? Maybe we just need to find that one thing that we do really well, triple down on our strengths. Maybe we put our weaknesses on hold. We yellow light our weaknesses and green light our strengths. We've been trying to green light our weaknesses and shore up on our weakness and yellow light our strengths, but we need to do the opposite. We need to double down on our strengths and green light our strengths, put it in full send, right? Maybe just yellow light for a little bit, or even red light some of these weaknesses, or this expectation that you have for yourself to get better at what you're not good at. Maybe you need to spend some time just really doubling down on what makes you you. That's a really good thought, and that speaks to me personally. Maybe it's time to just get back to what makes us us and our strengths. And a different season, maybe, delegate what we're weak in or hire for what we are weak in. And yes, I do believe that there are some things that if we're not good at them, of course, we need to maybe sharpen that skill set, et cetera, whatever's relevant to the current season or to the current need or demand. I understand that. But maybe we just need to get back to what makes us us. Do not yellow light strengths for the sake of green lighting a weakness. Okay, so it's important to do our best as leaders to create an atmosphere of focus. There's a new iOS for the iPhones. If you have an iPhone, that you can turn on different focus modes. I love that. You see right here, it says focus, different focus modes, and you can customize these different focus modes like sleep, drive. So it's not just one do not disturb. I'm not trying to give an Apple training today, but there's not just one general do not disturb. There's sleep, driving, personal, work, different type of focus modes. So how awesome is that? And then of course you have the feature on your phone, screen time. If your phone happens to be a distraction, you can turn on certain type of limitations to different apps, etc. There is a time tracking app, or there are multiple. There's one I used to use, I believe, called Timer. You can basically see where your time is going throughout the day. There's another one I downloaded today called Focus Keeper, and it helps you. There are different techniques you can have when it comes to focus and productivity. There's a Pomodoro effect, to where you work in 25-minute chunks with 5-minute breaks in between. And after 4 rounds of that, you take a 20-minute break. So you can really find what works for you. And I know this doesn't translate across the board, but my point is getting very intentional about each block in your day, knowing what technique works for you. Maybe your technique is different from a coworker's technique, and that's okay. All right. You got to find what works best for you. You got to find when you work best, when you are most creative, when you are most logical. I'm very creative and inspired in the mornings and in the evenings. My afternoon, I kind of put different meetings, etc., in those slots. But mornings, early in the morning, and late evenings are when I'm most creative and inspired. And so you got to really just know you. You got to know you to grow you, right? Know you to grow your business, your organization. I believe the level of your success is in direct correlation to the level of your focus. I think that it's just really easy, especially being within executive leadership. It's really easy to again be bombarded with other people's demands, expectations, and busyness of the day. And there's a vast difference between busyness and productivity, between being busy and being productive. Now, if you are being productive, it probably implies some level of busyness. Maybe. But if you are just busy, that does not imply that you are being productive. You got to identify what gives me in my leadership within my organization the greatest results. Okay. That's why we need to have a very clear vision, because we'll be able to determine what in return gives us the best results that we're looking for within our realm of leadership. Okay, so again, the level of your success is in direct correlation to the level of your focus. We need to be able to create an atmosphere of focus, know what to focus on, know how long we need to focus on that thing. Okay, so again, going back to kind of this app, or not this app, but the new iOS. At least turning on do not disturb, turning your phone over. My notifications on my computer, they are off. Maybe it's time to have a clear desk, a very minimal office. There's a science behind it all. Just not having just a crowded workspace, because that constantly pulls on your attention. Maybe it's time to get a little bit samurai or archaic with it and just remove everything. As you can see my shelf up here, I got like a few very intentional things on this shelf because otherwise, if it was just full of just a bunch of stuff, I would be subconsciously distracted. So just getting very intentional and a little bit intense with what you do to focus. Okay. And again, I know some contexts are much harder than others. But I even told a buddy the other day, he was having trouble. He's a CEO of an organization. He was having trouble focusing throughout the day because his door was constantly getting knocked on. And you know how it is if you're locked in and focused on something and your door gets knocked on, although it's only a 5-minute meeting for them, it takes you 15, 20 minutes to get back in that flow state. It's a constant distraction. So I said, would the investment financially be worth it to hire somebody that is that buffer for you, that can stand on your behalf? Therefore, you're able to lock in and focus on what you need to focus on. Therefore, that financial investment in an employee, in a team member, will be offset by the level of the impact that you have on the bottom line of your business. That scale will tip because you are able to focus. Again, I'll say it for the last time, maybe. The level of your success is in direct correlation to the level of your focus. Your focus will determine your fruit. This can translate in so many different realms. Your focus determines your fruit. Your focus determines your reality. Focus is important. Doing what you need to do to focus where you are able to focus. Okay. Okay, so there are 5 different points I want to run through really quickly, and then if we're able to, we can have some dialogue this morning. But 5 different things really quickly. It's kind of again, I allude to, different workshops and stuff like that you could have maybe in your own timing, or we can even go through some of these on this call, or have another one-on-one or different setting. But I always want to throw a lot of content y'all's way, and you catch it, because a leader knows how to catch stuff, pick up stuff, and then you go maybe in your own time and you work through this individually or with your team. But this is kind of a focused goal workshop, I love to just create these little spin-off workshop things, and I just call it a workshop. Okay, 5 points. You got to, number 1, know what your goals are, because that gives you the ability to move in the right direction and make certain decisions. It allows you to say yes to the right things and no to the wrong things. You have to have a very clear vision, a goal, right? Know what your goals are. What are your goals for your organization? You got to know them clearly. Number two, why do you want them? I talk a lot about the why. Again, get the book, start with why, because the why is really the heartbeat of everything, right? We talked about it, I believe, in the last, probably every week we've alluded to the why. In the workshop, we talked about the why, or in the webinar. So know why you want them, because that's the motivation, that's the heartbeat, that's the passion, that's the mission behind it all, your why. So number one, know what your goals are for direction and decision, and know why you want them. And number three, make sure that they are your goals. This is so big. Make sure that they are your goals, not the goals of someone you follow on Instagram, not the goals of, just a friend or other people's expectations. You got to make sure that they belong to you, so you are able to take ownership of them. If they are your goals, you will take initiative in any area that you're able to, as long as they are your goals. So number three, make sure that they are yours. Okay, not somebody else's, but your own goal, especially if you are the leader of the organization. That's not saying to neglect or negate ideas from staff members because you've hired them to, bring a voice to the table. You've hired them to take ownership, etc. That doesn't mean that, their ideas can't fuel the vision, but just make sure that the vision that you have for the organization, you stay true to it. Okay. And not just pursuing another idea that seems nice or could get you in a certain, realm. Make sure that you are just very clear, know what, know why, and make sure that they are yours. Okay. Number four, and then asking the question that I posted this last night. The next 2 points are huge. And I implore you, I encourage you to really take the time to think through these, like go deep in these. There will be something that emotionally connects so deeply if you go through these. So number four, asking the question, what will happen if I achieve this? What will happen in your life, in your leadership, in your organization, if you achieve this goal? When you do hit it, what could the possibilities be? Oh man, that's huge. I'm going into dreaming mode right now, thinking about when I reach my goal, my vision. If I just stick to the plan will work. If I work the plan will work. There will be trials, there will be tests along the way. There will be sticks in the wheel. Like growing up, we used to throw sticks in our homies, bicycle wheels to cause them to stumble. There will be things that come along the way. That's messed up. There will be things that come along the way that will challenge us. But if we just continue to work the plan ought to work. So asking the question, what will happen for you, your organization, your team, your impact, your family, your personal life? What kind of fulfillment, what kind of life could you have if you achieved the goal? How awesome is that? Then asking yourself the question as well. Not allowing yourself to spiral. I was working with somebody the other day and I brought this up and they said, if I think about it too much, I'll spiral. And there are different reasons for that, etc. But asking the question, what will happen if I don't? What will happen if I do not achieve my goal? And at least for me, this is how I hack myself. For just a moment, I sit in it. I feel it for just a moment. Now, of course, we're not going to go into utter failure. We're not going to be completely, quote unquote, losers or whatever word you want to use there. You're just not going to hit your goal, but that still sucks because you're giving so much of your life and your effort, energy, emotions, and you're bringing people along. And if you don't hit it, just kind of sitting in that and just saying, okay, what will happen if I don't? But here's good news. Going back to number four, what will happen if I do? Just work the plan will work. And then knowing what you need to focus on in different seasons. I love the point that I talked about earlier, delaying what you can for another season. I know, Audrey, for you, there are going to be different pursuits, different rhythms, different speeds, different paces, different lanes you'll even be in different seasons. You just got to continue to, and I believe you got a really good handle on it, or sensing discernment on it. But you just got to know the season that you're in right now. And um, how cool is it? How cool is your current season? That's awesome. And I know you know it. But okay, so those are 5 points I encourage you to go through on your own. But the overarching quote this morning is the level of your success is in direct correlation to the level of your focus. Your focus will determine your fruit. Okay, focus. Knowing how long to focus on one thing, knowing what to focus on, creating an atmosphere of focus, all those type of things. Awesome. I hope this helped you today at all, at least increased awareness. A lot of this stuff that I'm teaching on, especially, there's a reason why I do it on Mondays, is to really increase awareness throughout your week. A lot of this might not be revelatory. It might not be epiphanies. It might not be like, oh my gosh, this is all new stuff. This is probably a lot of old news to you. You've been in leadership for a minute, right? But I'm just stirring awareness again. That's all I'm doing. I'm provoking that awareness.